Welcome to Wisdom Within with Tina and Tanya. We have an awesome episode for you guys today as we start this holiday season. It's kicking into gear, it's heading in full time, and with it can come a lot of holiday stress. So we can both love the holidays and feel the stress, and we're going to help you with all of that. We're going to help unfuck the holidays. So stick with us and stay tuned for this episode. But before we dive into that, Tina, will you kind of help us clear this energy?
Yeah. So we're gonna bring some good energy in. I'm lighting up some Palo Santo here. So I love this stuff. Kind of clears this, but also brings in some good energy. And just go ahead and take a deep breath in. Allow yourself to drop in, being here right now. Oh, and yeah,
Here we go.
here we go.
So I think this is an important topic because there are a lot of people who love the holidays and a lot of people who don't love the holidays. I'm typically in the latter. I do not love them. I used to. And when I really look back at the difference, it's the stress, it's the hustle and bustle when everything in my soul is begging and calling for slowing down, hibernation, really focusing on family, less expectations, which we'll bring up today as well. Um, and the holiday comes with a ton of expectations, a ton of programming, a ton of things that may or may not be in alignment with people. And it really creates that internal battle of do I love it? Do I hate it? Do I show up? Do I not? So I think this is an important one to bring out this time of year and really just kind of help support people through that with the things that we do, kind of sharing a light on some topics, kind of going with it.
Right. I agree. It's I'm in the latter too with you. Not been a I haven't been in love with the holidays for a long time now. So,
Mhm.
and I feel you and I, we both feel the same with it. So,
Mhm. And I do want to honor and share the love to the people who are just in
who
love
just
with the
love it.
holidays.
Yes.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
so grateful for you with that. So even if you're like, oh, but I love the holidays, this could maybe help you understand or have a little more compassion on those who don't, or maybe you have a friend or a family member who doesn't. Maybe you have a family member who doesn't want to come around for the holidays, and this can kind of help shed some light on that, or at least help you support them in a different way. So this is for you too, whether you are a lover or not a lover
Right.
of the holidays.
Yes.
So I think let's start with expectations because with the holidays come a lot of expectations. We have family pressures and expectations of, you have to come home for the holidays. You have to go to this family's house or that family's house or just all the things of what it's supposed to look like. And that in of itself is a whole
Mhm.
other expectation, right? Of what the holidays are supposed to look like. We have programming and conditioning that it's supposed to be this happy, perfect event, that the meals are supposed to be amazing, that the food is supposed to be perfect. And then if it's not, it's chaos, havoc, and destruction. So let's just kind of start with expectations. What are some of those that you see both in your family and or in the people you work with, the society at large?
I mean, it's like, so you watch TV, right? And you have the perfect Christmas family get together and whatever, unless you watch like what is that one what's that one Christmas show anyway?
I don't know because I don't watch them.
Yeah. But unless you watch those crazy ones. But I mean, you see that your commercials, everything, it's all the perfect Christmas and blah, blah. And most of, none of us are perfect and it's not going to be perfect. It's like, and you have these family expectations of, your parents are saying, you need to come to our house. We have to have the whole family together because it's a family thing. And, we get these, you have your new family. So like, for instance, my daughter and um, her little family, they have their new little family. They have a 3-year-old daughter and um I I'm like, I want you to come and spend Christmas with me, or or the other side is, I want you to come and spend Christmas with us, or and in reality, if they can just take that time and be their own little family and do their own little thing, because that's where they start to get those traditions. And I know we have the expectation of tradition. We have the expectation of, it's a whole family thing. We have the expectation of, it looks like, the beautiful Christmas tree, the beautiful decoration, the house all decorated outside. We had, they're just, I mean, I can't even, it's like so many expectations. And then the gifts
Hmm.
on top of that, your kids are giving you lists of things that
Wish
they
list.
want. Yeah, their wish list. And it's like, we have that expectation that we have to give our kids all of those things. And it just goes on and on. There's so many things that I see that are like, you know, and I've tried to allow my kids to be like, now, I'm like, okay, I don't have any, I'm trying not to put any expectations on them for any, like Thanksgiving. We have Thanksgiving come on up. You have the bird, you have the the all the food, you want it to be, and what does it take? It takes you 10 minutes, but it takes you hours or days to plan it, hours to cook it, and you eat it in 10 minutes, and then, you know,
Then everybody's done. And it's over. And that's the
right,
same with Christmas, right? Where it's like, here's all
right.
the gifts and all the
Yeah.
things, and then it's over in such a short time. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have like almost the post-holiday blues that come with
Blues.
this buildup and stuff too. So I think a lot of it too is looking at each and every family and the expectations that come with it. And what does it do to you if you happen to be alone for the holidays? Maybe you're not in a relationship, or maybe you are and nobody's coming home or whatever. It can really create this internal dynamic of not enough, not worthy, not loved, when in reality, it's the expectation that's creating that feeling. You are loved, you are enough, you are worthy. Everybody does love you. There's just the expectation that I not be home alone on the holidays. You can even see it in some of the advertising. There's local businesses that will do meals for those who are alone. And it's kind of like, I love that they're doing that. But when you hear a little bit of the marketing behind it, it's almost like, oh, you poor thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, what if that is like, but I want, it's okay. What if it's just okay and you're not this poor thing? You just, this is how it is today or this week or this time. And maybe it's like, this is what I need. Everything in me is calling to be alone, but the shoulds and the people pleasing is that I go and do and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such an interesting way to look at individuals and how those expectations really do impact us. Um, I know I used to invite my dad to Thanksgiving dinner all the time, and he would never come. And I just wanted to make sure he felt invited and wanted, but it wasn't an expectation that he actually show up because it just wasn't his thing. He didn't like to be in groups. He doesn't want people to fuss over him. Like that whole thing was very much my dad's vibe. But I didn't get upset. It was like, hey, let us know. We'll make sure there's a space saved for you. And there was a couple times he thought about it, but he never actually did. But he was not one that was poor or lonely or depressed at home. He was just like, not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think releasing some of those expectations around what it's supposed to look like can help take some of the pressure off of you
Mm-hmm. I
as well.
agree. Yeah.
Um, but in order for that to happen, you also have to be like understanding that there's people we say no to. And what happens when we say, no, I'm going to stay home alone, or no, I'm going to go to this family, or I'm going to do this thing, or screw you all, I'm not going to anybody's. I'm going to do it with my own little family, and that's all we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that comes a lot of pressure as well. What do you see coming up for things for people like that?
So with it's that people pleasing thing there for one, where we are so worried about how others are going to feel because we're saying no, you know, and then you get that pressure. There's so many, and I've probably done it to my kids. I know, and now I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, but it's that pressure that you put on them to be like, okay, you should be here. Why aren't you here? Or why, and oh, you're just gonna hurt mom's feelings, or you're gonna hurt grandma's feelings, or grandma, you need to see grandma before she passes away, or whatever. Grandma needs to see the grandkids, or all these things. And it's it's a hard place to be when you have and especially like when we have families and we have in-laws and we have like we have our family and then we have our husband's family, and it's like you have these pressures to go to either one of those families and hang out with or do the holiday thing with them. And yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard, and learning to set those boundaries with people, and it's okay. It's okay to say no. It's
Hmm.
okay to say I want to do what I want to do, not what you're expecting me to do.
Hmm.
And in the moment, it's hard.
It
It's
is.
really hard.
And I think sometimes we have the nostalgia, right? Like we
Mhm.
remember how fun Thanksgiving used to be or how fun those times used to be. And we want that. We want to create that family. Oh, it used to be so fun when we did XYZ, but it's no longer fun, maybe. That was kind of what happened in my family. I grew up in a way and we traveled and went to we used to go to San Francisco to my aunt's for Thanksgiving. We did that quite a few times. It was really fun. And then there were times where my sister would come and we would all it was just fun. It was just a fun family get together. But over time that changed and it became more hostile. Actually, it became hostile. And so it was like, you'll be here, you'll bring these things, you're going to get judged for the meal that you brought, no matter what it was. It's not going to be good. Like it really became a negative experience. And I was hanging on to the fun one. I was like, oh, but it used to be amazing. And now it's not. And so I had this transition shift in my own life. And so part of me wanted the fun again. And it was like, oh, maybe this year will be different. Maybe this year will be different. Maybe it will go back to the fun that it used to be. But and then it transitioned a little bit to it's easier to just show up and then I don't have because if I almost like pick your battles, right? If I don't go, then there's all this aftermath, and it's just easier to go and just deal with the event. Then I don't have the aftermath. And then it got to, I'm done and I'm not going anymore. And there was some aftermath, but it didn't continue. So
Mhm.
I think recognizing that you're going to go through those different stages in whatever way each family dynamic looks and just don't fool yourself into thinking that it's necessarily going to be just like, oh, okay. Yeah, you go do
Right,
your thing. Everything's going to be fine. It's all sunshine
right.
and rainbows, especially if you're in a home of toxicity. That's not going, like, you can't expect a positive reaction to you setting a healthy boundary in a home that's not conducive to that.
Exactly. Exactly. And as you were talking, that reminded me of so I did not grow up with holidays. And so as I've got older, I started celebrating holidays for my kids. And um, my dad celebrated all the holidays. So I always had that expectation from my dad that I had to do, the holiday with my dad. And if I didn't, I was like this horrible person, or and um and then later on in life, my mom, the same way, she started celebrating too, and wanted us there, and I, I very similar. We had the toxic family, and struggles with it. Just messed with my mental health. I'd go there, and then I would be down for weeks because of the all the toxicity in the family. And so I had to start putting up those boundaries. And then I also had that backlash, and and with my dad, I ended up always going to whatever, because just to keep the peace. And and like family reunions, every family reunion he was like, "You're going," and I'm like, "I don't want to." And I haven't gone to one since he passed away.
Hmm.
But it's like, yeah, you have to remember that there will be those, and don't put your mental health first, and your sense of well-being first, because um don't don't take the easy route like I did, and just go just because it's um easier than battling, because what it does is it takes a big toll on you. And for me, I've struggled with my mental health for a long time because of it, because I was always putting that easy way first, instead of putting myself first,
Hmm.
putting I guess I should say putting others first, and taking the easy route.
Hmm.
And there's a lot that can be. I now wish that I could have done it a different way.
Hmm.
And and so, if you can find that strength inside yourself, I definitely would encourage you to find that strength inside yourself, and set that boundary before you start watching your mental health decline, because
Hmm.
that's what can happen with it.
Well, and
um
I wonder if it's not, I mean, this is just curiosity here for me. It's not, I don't think it's an answerable one necessarily. But there is like that little sneaking suspicion in the back of my mind of seasonal depression, you know? I mean, if is it the we say it's cold weather or it's the shorter daylight or it's whatever, right? But I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that I wonder if it isn't some of this from childhood on up with, the disappointments that can come through the holidays as well, to the toxicity that can come to, what if you grow up and even your adult life, everything is, we'll say picture perfect, whatever the hell that means. I don't even know, but whatever. And then you lose a parent.
Mhm.
Age happens to all of us, right? You lose a parent, and now the glue that held the family together is no longer there. And so things change, and that can create that depression in a way. So it's really, to me, you can see how that can be generational and how that can change. Maybe, as your children grow and they have their own families and they start moving away or going to this family's instead of yours, like all those things combined can really create the challenge of the holidays. And it is the expectations, but it's also the image and the things that you grew up with and wanting to be able to replicate that in some way. And I could see how that could be a route to some seasonal depression as well, because we know that our body learns patterns, right? So even if we don't have, like, even if we're just like, I'm doing my own thing and I'm good and all is well in the holidays, our bodies are used to the stress. It's used to if you have the toxicity or whatever it is that you have, that could be also contributing to some of that feeling. Um, whether it be memories of toxicity or the desire to create the Disneyland Christmas that you had growing up, and maybe you can't do it now. Like there's just so many things that could come into that could inspire some of those feelings as
Mhm.
well.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And I just feel like I got a nice little coaching
Coaching session with Tom.
session.
Well,
Because
because
I had not thought about that. And I do deal with seasonal depression.
Mhm,
And so I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, definitely. It could
mhm,
be that because it can be that deeply ingrained in you that it does cause those feelings when the season comes around and we start,
mhm,
and our bodies know. Our bodies tell every year. My sister passed away in August 12th, and every year, and then now it's my mom, she passed away on the 18th. So every year around, that second week in August, or it starts getting into August, I start feeling like, I'm not feeling good. I don't know. And then and then inevitably the day of or the day after, I'm like, oh, they passed away this day. And that's what's causing it.
yep.
My body knows. My body knows, even when I don't. So.
I think that comes back to that wisdom within. It's like
Hmm.
something's going on, something's showing us. And sure, it can all, I don't ever want to simplify it and say this is the only thing. It can be because it's colder. It can be because there's reduced daylight. Like all those things are real. Um, but I also think that we do a lot of things to treat the symptoms and not get to the root cause. So maybe we get one of those little lights where we can get that extra light. Fabulous, do that. That's going to help you treat that symptom.
Right.
But if we can find a little bit more of a root cause as well,
Hmm.
some of that can help come to that surface. I think there's just so much with holidays.
Yes,
I
there
think one
is.
of the things that's so challenging is we may end up having to set boundaries with family and friends, with work. Um, I mean, Christmas parties, holiday parties, friend get-togethers, even the gifting and all those things that can come with all of that as well. Um, there's just a lot. And I think really, truly honoring yourself during this time is what matters. Yes, those relationships are important. It doesn't all have to be in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Mhm.
Um, Christmas in July is a cool idea to be able to catch up with those friends that you only see once a year that you truly love, but then you're not trying to pack it all into December, draining your own energy, struggling with everything, finances all together in this short window. Like really looking at what you can do creatively to be able to spread that out a little, spread the wealth in a different way.
Right. I agree. And making sure that you are taking care of yourself during these times, because it's a stressful time. It's, and I can't say it's stressful for everybody, but I think the majority, you know, the more it seems like the more, I don't know, the older I get, maybe, I don't know, but I see more and more that it's all about the presents. It's all about the um buying the gifts. It's all about like what you said, the parties, the whatever. It's all about doing everything in December, and then as you're go 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 go, you're just depleting everything in you and not taking care of yourself. So if you can even just find that time to take care of yourself during this season, and maybe try to figure out ways to have less expectations, or I don't know. I know the kids, it's so commercial that the kids are expecting huge gifts during Christmas, and it, to me that's not what it's about, but that's what it has become.
Mhm.
And so it's it's hard. It's so hard for, you know. for people
Mhm.
I know, but
Well, and I think it's important to really start looking at where's the conditioning coming from, right? So there's so much exactly like what you're saying, the commercialism. When you think about it, we start seeing Christmas decorations before now, I mean, way before Halloween, because
now,
I
yeah,
went in,
nowadays it's
yeah.
mhm,
And so we're seeing it really early. We're starting to get all the things, right? We're getting conditioned by not by individual people falling into the consumerism trap, but by the companies,
business.
the
Mhm.
manufacturers and the
Business.
businesses,
Yep.
right? So there's the implied, hey, it's coming up, better start paying attention, that starts way before we're ready.
Mhm.
So that's happening. Just like
I
what you're
so
saying.
I was saying I was getting emails in August
Yeah.
that it's time to start thinking about Black Friday, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
And so business is telling you, yeah,
Plan for it,
plan.
prepare for it, be
Mhm.
ready. And then what they also do is they have specials and sales for a very limited time that creates pressure on us that if we want to save some money, we have to be either present in the store or online or whatever it may be in this specific window, which
Right.
creates yet again time, pressure, stress. And then we're showing up and maybe it's all gone. They had
Mhm.
X number of those things and we didn't get there in time. People, we're not even going to go into the people fighting over it and stuff. Just
Right.
forget that for a minute. But you show up and it's gone. And now there's disappointment because now what am I going to do? Going to have to pay full price for this. I was planning on the budget of that. And so
Mhm.
then it creates yet again more stress. So we're really kind of put into a cycle, consumer consumerly. I don't even know if that's a word. It is. I just made one up, but it creates that within us where I don't want to pay full price. There's no reason to pay full price because there's all these sales going on from freaking October to Christmas.
Mhm.
And but it creates the pressure of I got to be there on a certain, and that is not healthy in our bodies. That is not healthy in our gifting because we want to give because we're excited, but it kills the excitement if we don't do it in this time frame or we're not spending as much time. Like, I'm not going to travel with my family because I have to be there at that certain day. And what if I miss the sale, right? I mean, it's just that whole thing. And that's not even talking about the relationship dynamics in there.
Mhm.
All of that stuff is what comes in and creates some of that stress. So, where can we start putting that into perspective? Like what you said, taking care of our mental health. It's okay to miss the sale. Maybe I budget for the full price. If I get the sale, that's a bonus. I do a lot of things where I'm like, I will pay $5 more or whatever because I got to go to this shop that I love versus the one that had it on sale, or those little feel good things that we can have within us. Even if it's like, I will do the pickup order at the grocery store so that I don't have to go in because it's worth my time to be able to not go inside for today or whatever that could be. Where can you honor yourself in that? Where can you allow yourself to release some of the expectations that you get that exact thing on that exact day that all those things could be helpful for the mental health as well in there is just, yeah, I might save $20, but for the shit that it's going to cause me to actually get to there and do the thing and save the $20, I'll give you my $20. I don't even care.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. And just just taking care of yourself in that. And I love that what you're saying about um even paying budgeting, knowing, and if I get it on sale, then yeah. But for me, um I I quit buying gifts. I make them, and and actually all my life I've wanted to make. To me, that's a gives like a more special meaning to it. And I'm kind of one of those, I want it to feel good when I'm giving something. It's not just that I'm going to the store and buying what this kid wants, I want it to feel good. And so I used to make the ornaments for them, and I would buy them one thing that they wanted on their gift list or whatever, but I would make make little things. And so for me, that's my way of making it feel, um, I don't know, more special, you know. But yeah, and just if that's your thing, then do that. If that's not your thing, then, and I know sometimes I'm like, well, the kids are these days, they don't care about made stuff, but my grandkids, if I didn't make an ornament one year, they were like, whoa, what's wrong, grandma?
Where's our ornament?
Yeah.
That's cute.
And so yeah, um it is just, it's finding that balance. It's finding the balance of, what's going to serve me, while also, doing this thing. And with the holidays, I I just look at the holidays as just like a hard, sometimes they're just a hard time. And yeah, there's fun in it, and there's, you see the beauty in it, and you see the chance that it can be such a beautiful experience. But there's so many expectations around it that oftentimes it means that there's not that beautiful experience
Hmm.
that we expect it to be, as we're moving through it.
Hmm.
And when we can, prioritize our self-care, prioritize our family, our, the mental health in the family too, because the kids are all, I feel like it affects the whole family, when we are in these dynamics that we have.
Hmm.
And um sometimes, we have the grandparents who are telling the grandkids, you need to come and see us for Christmas or whatever, so it affects, everybody.
Well, and one thing I'm hearing as well is, and just like watching progression, is to allow yourself to be in different chapters, because
Mhm.
the expectations come on us. Like we've talked about how they show up on us from the consumer side, the family side. But when we notice like when we're carrying that on now, we're putting the expectations on others. And I think that's one thing that we forget to do is recognize that times change, that the traditions that are the most impactful to me may not be the ones that really my kids even care about.
Mhm.
They might be ones
Right.
that they throw away, and that's okay. What
Mhm.
creates the toxicity is when I try to force my traditions that I love onto my kids that are like, not my thing,
Mhm.
because I don't allow them to have that. So remembering that that will shift, that our energy changes as we age, that if we're trying to do it all forevermore, just because we've always
We
done it that
can't.
way.
Yeah.
Right. But like that was one of the things I saw within my own experience was this insistence from my mom to do it all. And she hated it. I mean, she'll
Mhm.
tell you she loves it, but everything in her is fuck this, I hate it.
Mhm.
And so we show up and we're in that vibe. And
Mhm.
it was really like you could cut the tension with a knife, and she hated it. And so I'm like, I want to cook, let me cook. This is the only meal of the year I like to cook. Let me do some. And it just created this battle where I was like, let me help take some of the stress off you. And she was like, no, it's what I do.
Mhm.
And then I would bring some, and then there was criticism. And it just
Mhm.
created this toxic shit. And it's like, it's okay to honor the fact that seasons change, times change. I'm not 12 anymore. I can actually bring a decent meal. Like allowing people to do and allowing that to shift. Like, what if you're used to cooking it all and then all of a sudden, through life and as people age, now you don't have to cook a damn thing?
Mhm.
For me, that would be a little bit hard because I actually do. This is the only meal I like to cook. But when I force it, that's what happens. When I allow and let other people bring things, then we just get to have a good meal together and everybody gets to love it.
Right.
So for me, the holidays and how we unfuck them is by being super aware of ourselves. What is it that I want? What is it? And then the expectations. Why do I expect that? Okay, I would love to have this happy-go-lucky, whatever, picture perfect. Well, who says that's reality?
Mhm.
Just really super hyper focus awareness on yourself during this time versus the hyper focus that we're gifted, which is toys, gifts, consumerism, family, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
I think just shifting the priority and shifting the focus could be a huge um, benefit to our mental health, to the stress level, and all those things that come with it.
I agree. And this might be a good time to set up sounds. I don't know if you can hear Joe in here making noises, but
I
but
can't.
this might be a good time to really um start your up your game here with your like your meditations, like your self-care is what I'm trying to think. So it would be a really good time to, start doing some maybe meditation, maybe journaling, and asking yourself why, where am I with these, just what you were talking about, being that, going within and checking with yourself what the awareness is, and figuring out why am I doing this, and do I really want to do this, and or so journaling could be really helpful with that, or um just taking the time to, uh, for me it's going outside, taking that little bit of time outside to connect with myself, um just really upping your self-care game and finding that awareness within yourself and understanding what you really want, and allowing yourself to do that, and not, and I know I want to say not worrying so much about what everybody else thinks, because, and I know that's the hardest thing. um I've been there, and I know it's hard to not worry about what everybody else thinks, but in reality it's really, that's the small thing there. What everybody else thinks is nothing,
Mhm.
and they're not the ones paying your bills, they're not the ones taking care of you, and they're not the ones doing the things, so as I've gotten older I've found that I've given less fucks about what other people care,
Yep.
or whatever other people think I should say. And so it's like, but it's hard because I've been there. I've lived most of my life, and we've talked about this in other videos, lived most of my life trying to please other people. And now I get to just do what I want to do. And if other people don't like it, then I'm sorry, but this is my life, not other people's. So,
And it's one thing as you were saying that I thought of, so it's interesting because we talk about expectations and how they come on us from others, which is so real and so true, especially this
mhm.
time of year. But I also find myself putting a ton on me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's interesting because I use this idea of people pleasing. So let's just take my kids and Christmas, for example. When I grew up, I had magical Christmases. My mom did a fabulous job to make us all feel very special at Christmas. She was a single mom and there were gifts under the trees, and I never felt lacking at all during Christmas. And I've wanted to create that same magic for my kids, being a single mom. And I know it's possible because I had that. And so I put this expectation on myself to make this amazing, magical, amazing Christmas for my boys. And they're always saying, Mom, stop. We're good. We love it. You've done amazing.
Yeah.
The disappointment is coming from me, not from them. And I know I'm not trying to please them. It's not me trying to please them. It's me trying to please my own expectation of myself. So I kind of like to add that into the people pleasing piece because it would be easy for me to put that on them and saying, well, I'm trying to please my
Mhm.
kids. And I am, I'm trying, I am. but it's for my own fulfillment rather than the pressure that they're putting on me. So I think that's important to note because I know I'm not alone in that. There are other people who
Oh,
might be able to be like, oh, that's where I'm at.
yep. Well, I was there. I was that mom too because I was a single mom. I worked my ass off to try and make sure my kids had this, beautiful Christmas and whatever, and my youngest daughter to this day will tell you, and I mean, I didn't have a lot of money and I didn't have, and to this day she'll be like, she loved Christmases and she thought it was the best thing ever. And she always got, all these, she never felt like she was hurting or anything.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, and I had that. Holy cow, did I have that. And then when my grandkids came along, I had that then too. I had to buy them cowboy boots every year because that was that was me. That it wasn't anything they wanted. They had, I mean, when they were babies, I was buying them cowboy boots.
Well,
And
it is cute. I mean, you do have
it,
to
it,
say
it
that is
was it
cute.
was cute. Then as they got older, it was like an expectation because because I created that expectation. And so yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. And I
Mhm.
know there's a lot of people there too
Mhm.
that
So what about some ways that because so I'm thinking about one of the things that I've been working on to help myself through the holidays, and it has started with self-awareness. And one of the things that's come up for me is I really just don't subscribe to any of the beliefs of the holidays. I I do believe in gratitude and thankfulness, and I love that there is a time carved into our calendar where we can do this. I feel like it should be a daily practice, but I understand that, this whole Thanksgiving thing really does create a time where we can be intentionally thankful. When I look at the history for that, I don't really enjoy that. Same with Christmas. It doesn't really align with any of my beliefs. And so it puts me in a spot where I'm like, I'm celebrating something that I don't subscribe to. And I don't subscribe to the commercialism or the religious piece of it. So what I've done, um, once I kind of came to that awareness that this is part of my problem with with the holidays, is I've started looking at now Thanksgiving's easier for me because I can just really focus on gratitude and family. So, or even gratitude and solitude. Like I'm good with either way. But with Christmas, I've really started, okay, if I don't subscribe to that mainstream belief, then what do I believe in? And it's become a time of me, I'm not going to pretend like I enjoy the holidays. Like that's pushing it. That would be a total lie. But I'm getting to where one thing I'm doing throughout this time is learning where do these traditions and customs come from? When you start looking about the wreath, the Yule log, silver bells, Santa Claus, like really going back to even times of pre-Christianity and how Christianity like melted those together, it's fascinating. And so it like lights up my inner history girl and I'm having more fun with that. I'm not necessarily subscribing to any customs, but just understanding and learning more. I don't mind having a wreath on my door now because I actually think it's an okay, cool thing. I don't mind having a Christmas tree anymore. It doesn't piss me off because I actually love the old traditions and meanings around those things. So that is part of my self-care. Like as I was listening to you talk about self-care, yeah, the Epsom salt bath is always a self-care for me. Movement, getting outside, but also learning and creating a new meaning for me for especially Christmas time. Um, that has really like I it's not it's a balm for my soul. I can feel it creating some healing there, which is create a lot more hope than I had before.
Mm, that's awesome. Yeah, I so the Thanksgiving thing, Native Americans and Thanksgiving is
Not a good mix. Not a good mix. There's no gratitude there.
no. But I've just allowed it to be just a family time, just a time to get together and just allowed it to be that. Um and I struggled for a long time with, because I do, I used to do my videos, and I used to do gratitude practices. I used to do different 21-day challenges. I used to do all that. I never did it during November because it was like everybody's doing gratitude in November. We need to do it all year long. I used to get so irritated with that. And I mean, it doesn't bother me now, but I was just like, I was, oh, what the fuck, man, And and so now it's like, and we're kind of spicy today, aren't we? We're dropping
I
that
was
F
just
bomb.
thinking that. I'm like, all we had to do is bring up the holidays for the F-bombs to fly. I was like, oh, okay, there we are. Let's drop it like it's hot.
Right. um anyway, yeah, so it's like I struggled with that for a long time with the gratitude, but now it doesn't bother me. But I don't Joe and I mean, it's just the two of us now, and we don't sometimes we'll go to Joe's daughter's house, or sometimes we'll go up to his stepmom's house, but for the most part, we'll spend Thanksgiving home alone, and we don't buy it. He doesn't like turkey, and I'm like, I'm not cooking, and so we'll, have a, you know, sandwich or something for, yeah,
Thanksgiving tacos.
yeah, watch movies. I mean, we just call it another day. We don't really um focus on it anymore. And it did used to be a place where a time when we would get together with family, and where I would go uh I used to go spend it with my daughter in Idaho sometimes, and there was that expectation there, and it caused me a lot of stress, and so I had to quit doing that. But with the Christmas, it's gotten to the same thing with Joe and I. We don't we don't even put up a tree or anything. I don't We just kind of don't subscribe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I get the kids gifts, and sometimes I don't. I've just gotten to where I'm kind of tapped out with it all,
Yeah.
and which is probably not a good place to be, but it kind of got me there with all of the expectations I put on
Mm-hmm.
myself and the expectations I had from others. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of ended up in this place. So
Yeah.
mm,
And that's okay. Like this
yeah.
is where, and if that's the chapter and the space that you're in right now, that's okay.
Hmm.
I think that's what we forget is that phrase, that's okay,
Yeah.
is so important.
Right.
We feel like I shouldn't be here. Well, maybe
Yeah.
you should.
Yeah.
It's exactly where you are. It's exactly where you need to be. If you don't like it, that's different. Where
Hmm.
it's like, okay, I don't like this. What needs to shift? That's where that can come in. But if you're like, it feels so less stressful, I'm so good, and the only thing I feel about it is the shoulds, then fuck it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And that's it. That's it. I don't, it's like a weight lifted off of both our shoulders. We don't worry about financially. We don't worry about having to go to the mall. I mean, I cannot stand Christmas shopping. Walmart during the holidays, I avoid.
I've always been a person who says I love crowds and chaos. And
Mhm.
I used to thrive in that. And
Yeah.
I understand it now with my human design. I have a lot of openness. So when I go into crowds and chaos, I get all those centers are like lit up and
Ooh,
filled, and it was a lot of fun for me. And now I'm just in another phase where I'm like, ugh,
yeah.
I just don't want it. And I actually don't like going to malls and stuff anymore. I'm like, nah, they're just I don't I'm more disappointed than not because my style's not in anywhere. I don't wear the crap. I don't care. I don't want it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, y'all's fashions suck and I don't want to buy anything for myself. Like I want the dark, moody colors and
Yeah.
everything's like pastel. Like even Christmas this year was pastel. And I was
Oh
like,
my hell.
oh, I know I saw some stuff and I'm like, not okay. like this is the only holiday I get, damn it. I mean, it was just kind of like, don't fuck it up for me. It's one that I love. Um, it was kind of funny to see me walk in the store and see pastel Chris or thanks, whatever the hell, Halloween.
Halloween.
That really bothered me. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, but I think that so what I kind of feel like would be if I'm giving other people advice and if you're giving other people advice, even thinking of a couple of things that would really help, I think it starts with, for me, of course, because I want to do the deep work right away. So I'm like serious
Mhm.
deconstruction. What are your expectations? Where did they come from? What do you still subscribe to? Do those still support your mental health, your mind, body, soul? Um, what are some that you would have with that?
Yeah. Just kind of like what I was saying earlier, I kind of at this time I would subscribe to the deeper work too, because you know me, I'm not good at that. But it does. It helps you to figure out maybe, going a little bit deeper and helping you to deconstruct that those feelings of, you know, should should I do this, or, I should be doing this, or, so yeah. And I really feel like meditation is probably a really good practice this time there. And of course, gratitude. Gratitude's always a good thing. But meditation, because that helps you go in a little bit deeper. And then you have all of your little, your baths, your salt baths and all that kind of stuff. That's more of a pampering to me. I think self-care is a deeper experience, and it takes something that's, you know if you're going to do the salt bath, then do it at a level of like releasing the shit, like what how you've talked about, taking that salt bath and just allowing all that sh- shit that's on you or whatever, the energetic releasing, um, getting energy work done, getting foot zones, things like that are going to really support you and your body in a way that will help you to relieve the stress and will help you to um, feel more, um, feel stronger, feel more able to say no to whatever needs to be said no to, or whatever.
It
So
helps to it helps to take some of what's in your bucket out so that when new
mhm.
things are added during the holidays, you're not boiling over.
Exactly,
Just kind of
that's
helps
yep.
reduce that so that
Yeah.
when things come at you, you're not like already overflowing and then you have this huge reaction and it becomes crisis. It's like, yeah,
Hmm.
you can just throw it out easier because your bucket's not already overflowing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I have one other thing I would add to that, and that is find something else to fill it. So
Hmm.
when if you decide to make changes during the holidays, it creates a void, right? Because this is what you've always done. Now you're doing this, but there's a void. It creates a void. Um, so find something that lights you up to fill the void. If this is the tradition that's expected and this is what we've always done and it doesn't light me up, what would? What does? And then whether it be studying new traditions or just creating your own, what is it that I would really love to do? I just want to stay home and do this thing. Okay, cool. Then let's fill that with that feeling of family, that feeling like really truly, it doesn't have to be stuff to fill that or even things that will use your time to fill that. But I think it's really important to, anytime we create change, we create a void, we create a hole. We've taken this plant out of the planter. Now there's a huge gap. We need something to fill that. And instead of filling it with more crap that other people tell us to fill it, let's find something that's truly meaningful. That
Hmm.
is what you're talking like with the deep work. That's where the journaling comes in. What would I like to see and why? And doing some of that too. And then
Hmm.
experimenting with it, and then be like, okay, I actually do like this. I want to keep this. Or I tried it, didn't love it. We'll find something else.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I love that. And I love that. Filling up because I mean we talk about that whenever we release, especially like in our meditations when you're releasing, fill up, make sure you're filling up those areas that you're releasing with positive things and things that are going to be helpful to help you move forward. And so I feel like that's probably, yeah, definitely one of the best things that you can do when you're working through these things.
Hmm.
And, I feel like this conversation is like, um, it's one that is like one of the hardest things. I hadn't when we first started talking about it earlier, when we were like, well, should we talk about this? I'm like, oh yeah, we can talk about this. I'm like, that it's hard. It's hard to do these holidays in the way, and it's hard to have these conversations and it's hard to especially during the holidays, it's hard to make those changes that we want to make or that we would want to see happen. But in the long run, it's going to bring you more joy or you more um, peace in your life. And that's what matters, right? Is
Hmm.
your sense of well-being. I'm going to go back to that again, making sure that you're taking care of your sense of well-being and your family, your kids, your immediate family, making sure that you're doing what is correct for them and not what's correct for the people outside of that group.
Hmm. And that will change the vibe altogether. If it's I'm taking care of myself, and think about how that ripples out to your kids, right? Where it's like, hey, if you can come home, great. If you can't, great. Instead of that, like sitting home, they couldn't come home. Now I'm depressed. Now I'm upset. Now like we when we're really okay with that space, we're sending out that ripple to them that it's okay to do you as
Mm-hmm.
well. If
Right.
they don't want to come and they just want to stay and do their own thing, they don't need an excuse for why they didn't come to see me. Like
Exactly.
it creates that peaceful family dynamic
Mm-hmm.
where they're like, oh, thank you too.
Thank you. Exactly. Exactly. And that allows them that space of they can do their own thing. And then it also gives them that strength. You've shown them the strength that they could also mirror that with their own little families and do that too. So
Mhm.
that's that ripple effect, just what you just said. So
And that to me, that's what matters, right? It's like taking care of me because I matter, but
mhm,
also when I take care of me, it spreads to them.
to them.
And that's
Exactly.
like I want it to spread to them, but I know I have to be
Uh-huh.
okay within me to be able to create that ripple. So
Right.
and I have not done that. I mean, I am owning 100%. I have not done that for the holidays. And let's not pretend that my kids didn't feel the stress I was putting on to make that. Like, okay,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
they had a fabulous Christmas or whatever, and they've loved it and they've never complained, but they also got the stress.
Hmm.
And if I want to pretend like that didn't happen, then I'm just putting my head in the sand like that. I know that happened.
Hmm.
So changing that,
Yeah.
I have been changing that for a little while, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's again, it's hard, but it's worth it. It's
Hmm.
like, you know, when you see your kids doing them, that's the best reward in the whole thing. To me,
Yeah.
it's as I've watched my kids do their thing, it's like, cool. I'm
Hmm.
glad you're doing you, and I'm
Hmm.
glad you're happy,
Hmm. Me
and
too.
that makes me happy. So,
Yes. Is there anything else that you feel we should add to this before we close?
no, I think we had, yeah, I think that's good.
We had a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot. I'm like,
So I'm like, do I say this or not? I think I'm going to go ahead and say it. So inside our Wisdom Within Toolkit that you can get in the description below, I think I want to add a little holiday survival guide or something. So
Mm, yeah, good
I'm going
idea.
to say that so that I will make sure I create that to add to it. So if you don't already have that, we've got the link to get it is in the description. And if you do already have it, make sure you revisit it because I will be adding that
Hmm.
soon. So
Awesome.
yeah. So that will be fun to create, and that can also support you throughout the holidays as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All
Um,
right, with that,
I'm gonna burn some Palo Santo. That was a pretty deep, heavy conversation. It was a little heavier than I anticipated.
yeah, me too. It's like, it's holidays. We'll talk about unfucking the holidays, and it sounded really fun. And we get going, and it's like, oh, it's
It's
screwed
like,
up.
oh, yeah, that was deep.
Welcome to our lives.
Right. That's kind of how we are.
hmm Good little
And
insight
and
into
our
our lives.
problem, yeah, our problem is we don't know how to not do deep.
I know. We'll just keep it surface level.
Yeah.
Not.
All right. Okay. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. Pull ourselves back, ground ourselves into this present moment. Take another deep breath in. And you can open your eyes. Ooh, yeah.
You. Awesome.
All right.
As always, thank you for watching. We would love your thoughts and ideas in the comments below to carry on the discussion. And then please like, it does help us get our videos in front of more people. Comment, share, all the good things. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Have a, yeah. Thank you.